Okay, it's okay now. So we can go ahead and get started. So this month we are going to talk about the Sidekick character creator from Synty Studios. And I'm sure you're familiar with the Synty brand. They basically do low poly art for everything. So they have a bunch of different genres that they do, and a whole bunch of different packs that always go on sale from the Humble Bundle and whatnot. But they recently released a free starter pack for their Sidekick line, and this is basically a bunch of prefab parts that you can mix and match in order to create characters. And as you can see here, they have different modular character packs that you can buy. They're kind of expensive, $200 a piece, roughly, except for when they're on sale. But there are a lot of different styles that they have. All of these have blend shapes for their facial expressions and body types. We'll look into the character creator that they come with in the editor a bit in just a second. But it's how you can create different NPCs and whatnot and save them off as prefabs. They also have this Synty Pass here, which I believe is $30 a month, which is not nothing, but considering what all you get with it, I think it's a pretty decent deal. $360 a year, you get access to all of their stuff. So when you download their pack, you can download it from their store. I don't think it's actually on the Unity Asset Store at the moment. So you just download it through their shop, and here you'll have a couple of windows. And I also downloaded their locomotion pack. That was from the latest Humble Bundle, just for some idle animations. So first off, let's look at the Synty character tool. This is the editor tool that you can use in order to generate characters and export them as prefabs and stuff. So here, there's only a very limited number that they give you for free. It is basically the Fantasy Knights and sci-fi civilian. But when you have multiple of these character packs loaded up, you can switch between which ones you want to have generated for you and what parts you don't want. So if you're just doing like a fantasy game, you don't want the sci-fi stuff in with your randomized character. Or maybe you do. So right now, these are the different parts that you can use here for various uses. Right now, we only have basically humans. There are, so on the other pack, there's elves and orcs and whatnot. So here we can just randomize the character. I think it's going to spit it out in here, yeah. And you can use this to cycle through the head pieces, or these are head presets, upper body presets, body. We'll look into how to do this at runtime in a second. Your different colors. I really need to look into more on how to do these colors. What I figured out so far is just basically the main color of the outfit. I don't think I have any of these attachments, so that's not going to show up. And then when you're done, you can export it as a prefab. Here in the parts, these are all the different parts that it is coming with. Here, it's not a whole lot right here. The body blend shapes. You have masculine and feminine on a slider here, which I did not realize that goes down to 100. Same for body type, and then muscularity. For the colors, each piece can be its own color. Here, so you have really fine control over what you want things to look like. I'm not sure why ever color the tongue, but I guess you zoom in on some faces, you can see inside the mouths. And these are our options here. The documentation is actually pretty neat. There's not a whole lot of detail here. Just basically how you get it started and where some of the demo scenes are located, and just how to basically run. These are the various facial animations that they have set up right now. We'll look at those in a second. It doesn't quite do lip syncing, but apparently it is compatible with ARKit. So you could do some facial animations that way if you have like a Quest 3 or Quest Pro for that. So yeah, the way this actually works is the Sidekicks is actually running a SQLite database under the hood here, which is how it is indexing and displaying all of your various parts and how you can look them up and use them at runtime. So this is how it knows what all I have installed, and it doesn't waste a bunch of time loading a bunch of stuff from like sources and stuff. Tool store, it's just YouTube channel. Yeah, and you can update the parts library. So if you get more packs in the future, you can update the database here a little bit to get everything going. But we'll also look at some of these demos. Also, I guess I should note this is all offline, so there is no account that you have to set up or anything that you might expect. It like talks to the Synty server, so it knows what you own or anything. It's all done locally here. Okay, add some of these scenes, and then at the end here, we'll take a look at what I was able to cobble together. Okay. So this is the facial animation demo here. Okay. Okay. By default, it's set up to use the old input system. There we go. So here, see, cycling through. Oh, I guess that is why you would want to color the tongue. Not entirely half bad here. I think we can see here in the expression switcher script here. Seeing this. So here we've got a list of the expression names that gets populated from our clips. which this should get it. Oh, so I guess it's just doing it from the. So these are all of our expressions that we have between the dozen or so here. I think these are all the different blend shapes we have here. They don't actually have phonemes set up, so doing actual lip syncing to audio would be kind of tough. And sometimes they have combined blend shapes for the expressions, but I think they're just animating them directly here. Okay. This one needs to be maximized. Okay. So this is kind of how colors kind of work. Probably also needs to. They updated this a little bit ago to add some new pieces. Broke everything that I set up. Okay. All right, so for skin color, and for some reason this does not include the nose and the ears, which is kind of weird. I think they just need to be specified. Change the colors as well. The outfit color. You saw in some of the presets that can change the accessories, highlights, and I believe this little jewel bit is part of the metallic or emissive colors that you can change. And this is the part that is kind of undocumented here. So when you grab your color properties, this is what is querying the SQL database for what all is loaded. And this is finding everything that contains skin in the property. But apparently that does not include the nose and the ears. So I'm not sure what it needs to actually search for that, but it's a bit of a magic string here that I am not much of a fan of. Same here for the outfit. Basically, it will just search for everything that has outfit in it, and then that is what you can scroll through to change your color. This also has some of the presets that you can create to cycle through some of them. And we'll just look a little bit here. Not sure why it disappeared. Oh, I guess that's all. So this one is just looking at just the upper body parts minus the head. So you can switch the torso around. Right arm, left arm, right arm. So the back attachment. Rotate. Size. I do wish you had more control rather than just the single size blend shape. And technically change each individual piece, but that looks kind of weird. And sets. Okay. So your presets, different head styles. I think there's actually just one head. And then we have the different sets there. Actually, I'm not sure if you can actually add presets. To say these are all generated. Yeah, the presets are all part of the database, and I don't think you can create sets. I haven't figured out how to. Okay, and then there is just one with the various characters here that have already been generated. Oh, this is a sample from the SideKick locomotion pack. If you just wanted to see what all of the different locomotions are, they do have the locomotion split between feminine and masculine animators, which is kind of odd considering they have the slider for actual gender for the creator. But there's actually quite a bit of different animations that they have here. See different animations for each direction. Okay. They also have like combat animation packs and different things like that. Okay, I think that's it for the actual demos. For the thing that I pieced together. Scenes. Okay, so this is using UI Toolkit and also App UI for the color picker. And what this is going to be doing is we're going to be creating a character in this scene, and then we are going to take that character into the netcode scene that we worked on last month-ish. And we're going to do that by using a scriptable object I have here in scripts. Here's the scriptable object. It just has a JSON that I'm not certain I'm actually going to be using, but also our net character, which is a iNetwork serializable that we can also send through the netcode for game objects. So this can be either a network variable or an RPC. My plan was kind of to make this a network variable so players can set their own character, and then that will get replicated out to all of the clients. And this is just going to be a name, a dictionary, and I'm converting the parts dictionary into a native list. I'm actually not sure if this part actually works or not, which is why I was debating on just using JSON for it. And then we have floats for the body type, which is the gender, the body size, and the musculature. And then we have the color, skin color and outfit color. The JSON.NET implementation in Unity cannot actually serialize color, which is surprising to me, but you just need to create a converter for this. I just grabbed off the internet, but it basically converts your color into RGB in order to save it out. And then there's this color utility, which is built into Unity. Not sure why this is not included anywhere, but it just creates your color into RGB, saves it back out so it can be in JSON. I guess it does save it out into hex. And then here we are just serializing everything. Here is where we convert the dictionary into a list. In theory, this should work. And then if we are reading it, we just convert it back into our dictionary. I haven't actually tested this part. Okay. So back here in our scene, like I said, I'm using UI Toolkit for this. I just wanted to see if I could actually get bindings to work in order to save these values into our scriptable object that we created here. And you can see here, this is the JSON of the character net character class that I created. This is the full thing, so it's not terribly huge. So you could send this just straight up as a string through RPC or network variable. All right, so here is our UI builder. And this is what you'll need to use UI Toolkit. You'll need to add a UI document, some panel settings, and the source asset, and basically it. Here in the hierarchy, so this is the character creator UXML that I created. Is projects folder. And the first thing I did here was I just wanted to have, since the character automatically gets created at 000, I'm just using one of these demo scenes as a base. It already had a camera set up pointed at 000 here. And basically half the screen is going to be our UI, and the left half will be our character. So here, this is what I made for our first panel, just so we could create it. You want it to be here in the flex. We have it, where did I put the size? This is not, yep. So for the flex, the direction here is where the different child components will end up stretching towards. So this is flexing from top to bottom. We could flex it left to right or right to left if you wanted your child objects to be horizontal. We're doing them vertical. And I have it aligned to the right here because that's where I wanted our screen to be. For the size, I had it 50%, so it's going to take up half of the screen. Basically, no matter how wide it is, you can change this to be whatever you want. 50% worked pretty well. I don't have any spacing or anything here. If you've ever done any kind of web development, UI Toolkit kind of uses the Flexbox model for spacing and margins and all that good stuff. Here I don't have a image or background color. It's just clear. The next bit here is the character part. This will have our name as a text field. I could be using the app UI, which is a say a mobile first framework that is built on top of UI Toolkit. So the default UI Toolkit containers and controls are here under standard. And that's where you get your things like your visual element, have a list view, scroll view, text labels, toggles, sliders, text box, numeric fields, text fields here. This is the one that I used up top. When you install App UI, it is basically a separate package. See it, manager. Here, right now, we're in App UI 2.1.1. If you want to install this, It's not actually in the package manager. You have to install it by name using the com.unity.dt.app-ui. I did a previous video on a lot of these and how you can use it. But, so yeah, I'm just using a regular text input. Could have technically used the text input from App UI. You can get from the project custom controls. You go under the Unity App UI, and here you'll see a bunch of the different controls that you have here. They do have a text field that is a little bit different from the default text field, but I made this first before installing App UI. For the color swatches, this is the reason why I installed App UI, because the standard UI Toolkit actually does not have a color picker that you can use at runtime. They have one that is editor only, which is if you're making like editor tools for like your inspector stuff. But I wanted to use it here in game, so that's why I'm using App UI, and that is just the color field is what I'm using here. Also, to actually see these, you need to change your theme, because by default, can we see the theme? Default runtime theme. So the default theme does not actually work for App UI. Click preview here. It doesn't actually work. So you need to change your theme to one of the App UI themes. Yeah, I'm using the example. And then when we hit preview, we can actually work. Oh no. Stuff. Oh. Anyways. The other thing I wanted to show was data binding. So here in our inspector, and actually this part here doesn't actually matter. What you can do is the 3-dot menu here next to any of these fields, you can add bindings to them. And what I am using here is for the value of our text field, we are using, for the data source, we're using our scriptable object for character data, and then you give it a source path, which is one of the fields that's in this scriptable object. If you don't want to use scriptable objects, you can use a type here as well. But we're just going to use that because I'm more familiar with scriptable objects. And there's a binding mode where it's 1 or 2 ways. I'm using it 2 ways, no particular reason. But you can have it so it goes from the data source, which is the scriptable object, to the field. But since it's an input field, you would probably want to go the other way around. So if you were to have like a health bar or something, that you could bind it to a field in your scriptable object that is your player health, and then you can have other systems write to your player health, and then the UI here will automatically update when that health value changes. And then here in the advanced settings, we have it update to whenever it's dirty. So you can have it on source change. So on the previous example of the health, to say whenever the health changes, that's when this will update. or you can set it to every frame. If you need that kind of accuracy, you can do that as well. I'm just doing it whenever it changes on either side, since it is a two-way binding mode. So if we change it in the text field, it will change in the scriptable object. You can also change it in the scriptable object, and it will change in. We're also using some of the USS fields, which is similar to CSS if you've done web stuff. And these are just how you can style the individual components of the element individual. So by default, the label here was taking up a good chunk of this whole element. So I had to go in and in the input text field here, I had to shrink the width down super huge. And then, yeah, if you change any of these, this is how you can change multiple items at the same time. So like if I wanted to change the color of these slider bars, I could do that here. Not sure what that will do. So yeah, for the colors, okay. For the colors here, I am setting the values to skin color. This part actually stopped working, and I'm not entirely sure why. But for some reason, that binding just will not save to the scriptable object. Don't know why. For the gender, that is saving our value into body type. Body size is in data.body size, and the musculature. Okay. So that's the character window. I did put a slight tint on the image here. I gave it an image so we can change the color. Make it whatever you want to. And you can make it darker, or however you want. I left it at 50% opaque. Just because. And below this is just a parts view that is just going to be a list of all of the parts that we have available that we can then cycle through here. There's no data binding here. I probably could do that, but we're doing this in code here. Also, if you make any changes to your XML here, you will need to go in and save it, and you save it manually. There's not an auto save at the moment, but yeah. What's it here? So for like your list views, you are not going to be able to see the contents of the list in the UI builder. At least not until you preview, and you would need to have some scripts running in the editor to populate the contents here. The child objects here that are grayed out, these are like read only, so you can't actually change these from here, but you can change them using the style sheet here. So if you were to create a new selector here for your scroller, we could add that up here, and then we can go into our scroller, and then we can change stuff around. And then everything that was added to the scroller class here would be affected by that. Okay, let's check out this is here. So what I ended up doing here is I broke out the character loader instance into a plain class that I can make into a singleton. And I only did this because we're having the character creator and also the runtime loader is going to access this character loader instance. Probably should rename it something else, but naming stuff is hard. So basically what this is doing is this is going to grab all of our available parts from that SQL database that is running in the background and also save out a part library that we are going to be able to pick from. And the database manager is what is actually controlling, querying that database. The runtime here is what is going to be actually creating the character. And then I have a current game object here that we're going to be using when we load up new characters and stuff. So just a real lazy singleton here. First time we load this, it's going to try to create an instance of itself. All right, and once we're going to run this init class, it's going to create a database manager. The runtime, the SideKick runtime takes a game object model for its base and also the material and an animator. So you can have it actually animating while you are creating it. And for the SideKick runtime, you just give it that database we just created. These are things that we are loading from our resources folder. That's just loaded in straight from the Synty demo samples here. We have a base model, base material. The animations, I'm just loading the masculine animator. You could swap it out if you want to, depending on like where your slider is. The SideKick runtime populate tool data. This is going to, like it says here, play the tool data. There's also a runtime map part dictionary. This is so we can cycle through it when we are adding stuff to our available part dictionary. This part takes a while. That's also part of why I made it into a singleton here, so we only have to do this once instead of every time character would want to load or something like that. So this is going through all of our part groups in the part group here, which you can see here. So it's going through the head, upper body, lower body. And then it's going through each of the types and then grabbing all of them. And it's a part type. So it's going through and grabbing each of these. Okay, and then once that is done, we won't have to worry about that anymore. And I have a character randomizer, which will basically run if we haven't loaded a character before. So if our local character is empty, then it's going to assume that it's a new character, and then it is going to roll through our part group and basically add a random part into our part index dictionary. And this is just going to be a part type with an index, and that's pretty small actually. So it's just an int and another int here, and that's really all you need to generate a character. Also generating random body sizes, colors, and whatnot. And then we're just saving all of that to our local character here. This will spit out one of the network characters, and then we're saving that into our local character character creator. For updating the characters, we're calling this whenever we change a part. So we are sending it in one of our characters, and it is going to roll through each of our parts in our part dictionary, and then it's going to get the model from that part dictionary. So this is a list of game objects that we're adding it to here, parts to use. We are changing the blend type value at runtime, the body size. For some reason, body size heavy and body size skinny, two different blend shapes. So you can technically have a body size of 100 heavy and 100 heavy and skinny. You can do it. And then here, that's loud. Here we just have we're using a separate, a single slider for body size. So if it's plus 100, it is going to go into the heavy side, and if it's minus, then it's going to go into the skinny blend shape. Here, anytime that we call the SideKick runtime.create character, this is going to generate and instantiate a new character. So here, if we give it a model name, this is going to be what the actual model is going to be called. We give it the list of meshes that we're going to use. That's our parts to use. We give it whether we are going to combine the mesh into one, and whether to process any bone movement. So when the character size gets super huge, that's going to move some of the attachments around, and you'll want to do that. Characters get fat, their objects on them will move around. And also this last one here is to use an existing model or not. You could just set this to false and it will always just create a new character. I decided not to do that. So we're just going to try to find the game object by name. I did this for multiplayer purposes because the different players will be using this same loader in order to generate their own character. So we're going to try to find it by name. And also, if the character name is null, it's not going to find anything. So when we first load up a fresh scriptable object, it's not going to have a name in it. So that's why I added this little space character here, just so it has something that it can at least try to find. And yeah, so we're going to try to find a character, and if our character already exists, then we are going to create a character with that character as the base. So we're not going to create a new character, it's just going to modify the existing one. And then down here, this is why I'm saving it as the current character. So if the character is null and the current character is different from the new character, so if we change the character's name, it's going to destroy the character. I probably need to change this for actual multiplayer stuff. But after we create the character, we're going to update the blend shapes. So this is going to update the character size, gender, and all of that. And then we're going to spit out this new character as a game object. Finally, here for the color change, right now I'm just using a string for the selection. So this is where those magic strings came in, where it was update outfit or skin, probably do accessories, maybe nose and ears is part of that. I'm not entirely sure. Hair is probably another one you can actually change. I haven't actually tried that yet. But we're just going to pass it in a color and also the runtime character. So each actual character is going to have its own SideKick runtime. So we can just pass it in the current character we're looking at, and we can use that to change its color here. So we're just going to change the color, which also is probably something we can also change as well. This could be one of the attributes that we can probably send into this function here to change different things. Right now I'm just changing the main color. And here we're grabbing all of our properties from the database, and then we are just going to look for everything that contains whatever we asked for here. So all of our outfit or skin or whatever. Then here we loop through all of the color properties, and then we just change, update the color here. So we'll give it the color type, change, and the property and the color string. Okay. So in the character creator, this is where we're dealing with mainly the UI stuff. Here in Start, I'm just creating a new character loader. I'm creating new color fields here because it was giving me some errors, and I might not actually need to do this anymore. And then I'm running the init function here to start up the database. Here's the meat of our UI here. We are going to grab the UI component, UI document component, and then we're going to get the root visual element. So this is going to be our root. This is where everything gets displayed to, kind of like your canvas. And since we are here, we say here. So in our UI document here, I'm just using the character creator that I created. This is the XML file we just saved. We're just using that as the source asset, and also the panel settings. These panel settings is actually kind of important. These are from the UI Toolkit app UI, and the panel settings here contains the theme that we're going to use. And this example theme is the app UI example theme. So this is needed to see the color swatches for the app UI. So since we're using it as a source asset here, I actually don't need the template here, which is what I was using here at first. This is just loading in a asset that we had up top here, visual tree element. This will load it into my document, but I'm not using that anymore. So in order to find your different components here, you just call root.q, which is querying the root document for this class, a text field with this name. So if we had multiple text fields in our document, this would find the one with this specific name here. And that has to be exactly as this is named. So here is our name input. Here, this has to be exactly here. Any typos or anything, and your name input will end up being null. Here, right after we find it, we are going to register the callback. So this is what is going to run whenever we change our value. This is just going to save our character, and so our save character here is just going to save our local character into JSON. You don't actually have to change or you don't have to save the scriptable object. Any changes made to the scriptable object are saved at runtime in the editor anyways. It is very tempting to use a scriptable object as a save system because whenever you close and reopen the editor, your data here gets serialized. But that does not work at runtime, which is super important. This character data is going to end up being overwritten whenever you restart the game. So this JSON will need to be saved somewhere outside of the editor for this to work. Usually I would save, you can save this to disk, so you could save it as a file, and it'd just be a text file with this JSON in it that we can then load and save to. You can also save it up to Unity Cloud, Cloud Save, so that way you can get it cross-device if you do. So whether you're saving it on your PC or your phone or whatever, you can do it that way. But right now we're doing everything in the editor. So we are going to save this locally into our scriptable object, and then we're going to load the characters. The other thing we're doing here is we're grabbing the fields for our color fields for the skin and the outfit. I had to do it this way because the bindings were not working for whatever reason. So I'm just registering the callback whenever it changes. We're just going to set the scriptable object here directly with the new color value, and then we're going to call update model. It's going to regenerate a new model. For the different sliders, that wasn't necessary, so I'm just calling update model whenever this value changes. And our update model is just going to save everything out to the JSON. It's going to call our update character from this instance, and then we're going to process the different color changes. So changing the skin and the outfit, and then if I figure out what other things I can change color-wise, we can do that here as well, and just call process color change for each one of them. I might end up changing this skin to be an enum somewhere. I don't know. So here, the parts view. The parts view here, this is where we are populating the scroll view. So here, for each available part that we have from our character loader here, we grabbed here. It's going to grab all of our part groups, saves it to this dictionary. Then here we're going to loop through that dictionary, and then we're going to create a row and we're going to flex it out horizontally. We're just going to justify it with even space between them. We're going to create a label for it, and then we're going to add some buttons. So we're going to add a button to remove part, to add the part back, and to change the part. And this is just going to cycle through the part index until we get to the end. There's really not that many parts in each one. Normally I probably would have had this change part index like loop through for the index, but we're just getting to the end. I might decide to roll it back to 0 when it gets to the end or not. And then for the add part, all we're doing here is we're either adding the part to the part index or we're removing it. And when it's removed from the part index, it won't be rendered at all. Or we can add it back. And then we update the model after each time we do that. And yeah, that is basically it. The initial loading here, a little bit longer than I like. And yeah, I also want to put where I can rotate and zoom the camera in and out. But right now, we can change our body size and change our hair, move the hair back, change eyebrow, which, see, our eyebrows individually. This is the face attachment. Yeah. Here we can add our helmet back. They added a pumpkin helmet for the Halloween just the other day. Go big. Gender. I think I can. That might be able to go -100 to 100. Here. And we can change it to our various attachments and stuff. Okay. And see our thing back. The attachments. Box. Back attachment. Okay, and then here is the app UI color picker. Change to be work. Sure. Okay. And then what we can do is save, and this is going to character creator. Yeah, all this is going to do is load a scene that we have set up here. So this is going to load our netcode scene. And then here, as you can see here, we have our character data. And since this is an asset, it will survive between scene loads. And then what it ended up doing here on our network prefab is I have this SideKick loader, and this is going to have a reference to our local player data here, and then I have it if it's an NPC or not, so we could spawn various players around and have them generate their own sidekick for this. Here in the sidekick loader, what we're doing here is just on network spawn. We are going to subscribe to the network variable character change, that setting up here, and then If we're an NPC, we're going to randomize the character. If it's the local player, we're just going to save our local data to this scriptable object here, to this network variable. And then we're going to load this character that we've just saved. And then all we have to do is call our character loader update character with our character data. And then for the animation, we are just swapping out the animator avatar from our third person character controller. It is just going to swap that avatar with our SideKick avatar. And then after we do that, we have to call rebind on the original network animator, or I guess this is just the actual animator, in order for it to start moving the new character. Then, since the update character is going to spawn a new character, and we have to reparent it to our network player, just so we're in the right position. And I probably do need to change the position of the player when we do that. And then just the original default character, which is the robot, we're going to set that to inactive. Could destroy it, but we're going to leave them deactivated. So yeah, once we join, we're going to see our orc with the blue fox here. The animator probably should reflect the new body size. That would be something to fix, because right now the arms are clipping through the body. You'd probably end up using like animation rigging for something like this. But for the most part, everything works. We can jump. Our platform still works. Grabbing the weapons, don't think it's working right now, because I don't think I have the those scripts running right now on this character. And I honestly have no idea if this will work with multiplayer right now. I only just got this running a few hours ago. But I am kind of happy. I did not realize there was a tail. Oh, okay. So that fits the fox theme. I'll also need to disable the renderer for the first person view here, so you're not seeing inside the model. Let's see. Oh, it absolutely does not. That is because, yeah. All right. So what's happening here is our clone is not going through the character creator process, which I think I might be able to fix, maybe, but not tonight. Okay. So for the time being, we are just going to leave that alone. Yay. All right. So yeah, that's really about it. Don't know what else I would like to have some facial animations for lip syncing through voice chat and stuff, even if it's just flapping the mouth up and down. Mouth. That's not too bad. But yeah, it just would be a matter of finding mouth blends to mess around with for your different. It's not bad either. Yeah, I'll mess around with this a little bit more. And hopefully next time we can have some other characters on the screen to show off some of the different randomizations you can do. But yeah, if you guys have any questions or anything, definitely leave a comment, join us on the Discord, and let's hang out. All right, not sure what we're gonna end up doing next month. Holidays and stuff are coming up, but we will see you around next time.